All right, welcome back to On Screen, Off Screen. We've got three wonderful people on one awesome podcast ready to help you guys out with some great recommendations. We're going to start this one with the one, the only Josh.
Wow. With that energy in mind, this first topic should be really quick. I want to talk about Free Bert. It's Bert Kreisner,
Chrysler, yeah,
Chrysler, whatever.
something like that.
He's got some stuff that I really like. He's got some really irritating stuff that I don't like. But
That's
I was
how I am,
scrolling through TikTok and somebody was like, "This show's really great." So I was like, "Why not give it a chance?" And there are some really good laughs in this one. There's also like an entire episode I wish I didn't watch. I wouldn't recommend the show, and I wouldn't recommend not watching the show. Is kind of where it's ended up. Um, but the big thing for me with this show is like I just remember when we had all of these TV shows where comedians had sitcoms loosely based on their lives. And I genuinely miss that time. Like I grew up watching Everybody Loves Raymond, George Lopez show. We had all of those kind of shows, and it was like
School time.
Tim Tomek. Well, I don't think that that's the same because he's not a comedian and he's not basing it on his life. But it is a family sitcom. But this has some of those moments, and it's really cool to see that kind of stuff coming back.
Cool.
So this isn't like a stand-up show like Brian Regan on a stage. This is like
No, this is him playing a guy named Bert who has a wife who's played by an actress and two daughters who are played by actors who have the same names as his wife and daughters. And he runs through some of the scenarios that he has actually encountered in his life. So, like in one of the first episodes, I think it is the very first episode, it might be the second episode, he goes in to have a meeting with another girl's parents because the other girl is cyberbullying his daughter. So he's like, this is the appropriate rule following way to do it. And in this meeting, he basically is like, hey, these are the rules. If we could have her take it down and apologize. And they're like, we didn't do anything wrong. And so he starts to get worked up. And they start to make fun of him for being a comedian and not take him too seriously. And so he's sitting there like, these are the rules. You said these are the rules. You gave us a rule book with the rules. I'm just saying follow the rules, and you guys are telling me no. And everybody else is like, calm down, Bert. It's fine. And then, it gets to a point, and they're like, Bert, I think you owe the other parents an apology. And he's like, how did we get here? How did we get to the point where I owe them an apology? So it's very Bert. If you like his comedy, you're going to love the show. If you kind of like his comedy, you're going to kind of like this show. It's very much in line with it. I fully support the idea of this show. I do hope more comedians take this chance. I wish Gabriel Iglesias' show was more based on his stories because then it would have been a good show. But like, bring this kind of show back. It's good. It's, family values. It's family shenanigans. It's comedy that everybody can relate to.
Would you recommend it if that one episode wasn't in the show?
Yes.
Whichever one you didn't like. What was the episode?
I don't want to even really talk about it. It's disgusting.
No, like which one is it? And I'll just skip it when I watch it.
It's pretty critical to the plot of the show.
Oh, so
but
you do have to
place in a strip club. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So, and they get really uncomfortable with it. It never crosses the line of like this should be rated R. It doesn't ever show anything, but it implies stuff, and I don't want to see it. Don't want to think about it. That's no thank you. Yeah.
So I'm interested in the difference in rating. Like rate the show as a whole, and if you got rid of that episode, rate the show.
I'm giving the show a 6.
Okay.
Because I don't hate that I watched it. The laughs that I did have, I laughed out loud. There is some very funny stuff in it.
Okay.
If it didn't have that episode or was just better,
More tasteful.
just not horrible, I might go up to a 7, but probably like
Okay.
a 6.5 ish. There's a lot of in between. So far, I don't know why he married Leanne. That's what I'll say about his wife. She seems like a really irritating person to be around.
Okay. Okay.
So
cool. I've been semi-interested in the show. I do like Bert. I think he's funny. I think he's
funny.
most
Like
of the time funny. Most of the time funny.
I think he's about
I'll give it a shot.
60% of the time funny. And I gave it a 6 out of 10. So
That's perfect. All right, let's go to my first topic. It's going to be super short, but Some Kind of Wonderful. I literally have been looking for this movie for a very, very, very long time. I went on a date with a girl when I was like 12 or 13, and it was like a date. And we watched this movie, and I love this movie, and I literally didn't know the name of it. And when you type in the movie where the best friend is in love with the guy and she doesn't know it until she knows it, and then but he likes the pretty girl who's popular, a lot of movies pop up. And I couldn't figure out what it was. And I finally found this movie. I just randomly clicked on it on Josh's Plex. And I was like, this is it. This is the movie. And I love that both of the girls are honestly good people in the movie. He's got the pretty rich girl who isn't just like a bitch because she's pretty and rich. She's a decent human being. She just doesn't mesh him very well. And he realizes that. And then you have the best friend who's kind of a tomboy, who he's always just been best friends with, so he's never thought about her that way. But they're best friends, and they get along really well, and they're a good match. There's not somebody who's just bad, which is a hard thing to pull off. And I really appreciate that about this movie. It's very cute. It's very charming. If you like romances, it's just a good one. Just enjoyable to watch. It's worth your time. It's worth giving a shot. I'm giving it an 8. I had a great time, and I'm super glad that I found it again. Really short little thing. All right, let's go to your topic, Lauren.
Okay, so Noah Kahan released a single this week. It's called The Great Divide, which is going to be his new album, which is coming out April 24th. And I think there's going to be 18 new songs on that track, which for people who love Noah Kahan, finally, freaking finally, I needed new songs. There's a lot of.
When was the last album?
It would be Season of the Sticks, which I'm not sure because he's like revisited that album and done collabs and redone songs over and over again. So I'm not exactly sure when that one came out. Okay. But it was a while ago. So very glad that we finally are getting some new songs.
Let's go!
There's been some on TikTok. There's The Last of the Bugs, that there's a little snippet, and I'm like, if that one isn't on the new album, and there's another one that he had that he like just played a little bit of it, and it was like years ago, and I'm like, if that song isn't on this album, I am burning something down. Like, it is so good. The lyrics to the one that that he just played a little bit of on TikTok is, please don't leave me yet, you're still a part of me, and you belong to me but I don't belong to you. Or I might have switched that up. It might be, I belong to you but you don't belong to me. Anyway, it is soul crushing. It's great. Most of his music is soul crushing and I love it. It's very like outdoorsy coded. There was, I think, I listened to Between the Villages 75 times in a row.
Wow,
Uh,
that's crazy. That's
yeah,
awesome.
it's because I get very flighty sometimes, and this was a time in my life that I didn't have a working car, and like I very much like going on drives and getting out of the city. I think the city makes me super depressed. So I don't like being in the city. And Between the Villages talks about how it's kind of like grief and stuff. And as he's driving, it's talking about him driving home and like all of these things that like are brought up because home has it's so stacked with emotions of like wanting to be there, but there's like so much history with being home that it like it's so good. There's the line, it says it's all coming back to me and I'm angry again, and I'm like, the feeling of this song is like when you're on a motorcycle and you're going and like weaving in like a canyon, just going as fast as you can go when and you shouldn't be. Um, that's like what this song felt like and why I listened to it 75 times in a row because I didn't have a motorcycle, I didn't have a car, I didn't have any way to like escape where I was at that point except for this song. Um, and then there's another song that I listen to a lot that's called I'll Call Your Mom. And it's talking about like having a friend who is suicidal. And it's talking about how they're like, I, I'll be there for you. There's a part on there that says, don't let this darkness fool you. All lights turned off can be turned on. And they're like, don't do anything, I'll call your mom. like, like if I can't be there for you, I'm gonna call who I need to like make sure that you're okay. If you don't want me, I'll make sure there's somebody there for you. Um, I think Noah Khan, it like there's so many times where I'm like, I thought Noah Khan was way much bigger than apparently he is because I'll say, oh yeah, I love Noah Khan, and people are like, who? I'm like, excuse you. It's I see that you had a happy childhood. um, but anyway, I think that he's underrated, and I'm really excited for April 24th. I'm ready to be heard again.
I have listened to some of his songs and I like some of his songs. This one has some good lyrics. I'm reading them right now,
Which
but
one?
the Great Defied one.
Yep.
I
Yep.
hope you settle down. I hope you marry rich. I hope you're scared only of ordinary shit like
Yep.
murders and ghosts and cancer on your skin and not your soul and what he might do with it. Fire.
Hmm.
That's
Yeah.
fire. That's
It's
fire.
and like I feel like I could have. I was gonna pick more songs to like pick out little lyrics, things like that, because I feel like there's so many that are like that. There's one where he's talking about like going to therapy and how it affects him and things. And there's another one where I'm trying to think of it's called like Paul Revere, but it's once again like talking about um going home and the mixed feelings there. And then Orange Juice is like about somebody who's struggling with addiction. So he's like I think I can't remember the exact lyrics, but he's like, there's orange juice in the kitchen that's like for the kids, but you can like have that instead of like the alcohol that everybody else is drinking because they know this person's struggling with alcoholism. And it's like, and the music and melodies are gorgeous. Um, there's also another collab he had that's called If We Were Vampires. And it's I love that one. That's a really good song. I could go
That
off.
is a really good song.
Yeah.
I really, that's a really good song. My favorite one, I haven't listened to a ton of stuff, but I like Forever.
Mm. Yeah, I've recently been listening to Please. Yeah, anyway, I any like normally with artists, I'm like, oh, here's some songs that like I'll skip. I like all of Noah Kahan's songs, so and
Cool.
like, hmm?
Have you seen him live?
I haven't. I was gonna get tickets, like I think it was like last year. He came to Salt Lake, and I was gonna go get tickets, but I couldn't get any because I was too late.
Okay.
And I swear, every girl in Utah freaking loves Noah Kahan, and so I was like,
Gone.
yeah.
I would go to one of his concerts because I think he's good, but the concerts that are mostly artists that women really like, I struggle with. I'm not gonna lie. I went. I've been to multiple concerts like that because I like some female centric artists, like a lot actually, because the lyrics are usually a little bit more pronounced, like they're a little bit more meaningful, and I like that aspect of music. But when you're watching the show and every 2 seconds you hear, ah! I'm like, I can't do it. Just listen to the music. Can't do
Yeah,
it.
yeah. I usually don't like going seeing people live because the other people there make me so angry. Because I'm short, so a lot of the times I'm
That would be
just
even harder.
viewing other people, and I'm
You're like,
like,
why am I even here?
yeah. So like, I remember like literally having binoculars one time when I went to go see. I think it was um Paramore, and we were like clear up in the back, and I had binoculars so that I could see them. I'm like, I might as well be watching them on a screen, but it
Yeah.
is fun to watch people perform live because it
And
is a little
Paramore's
bit
really
different.
good.
Yeah, they're like doing
They're
backflips
really
off of
good.
each other. It's really fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was yeah, it's a little bit different experience depending on the venues and when you're short and everybody's stinky. So,
Do you do you have somebody that you really want to see live? Like, if you had a
yeah.
number one person, who would it be?
Well, I'm gonna go see Ghost next week, so
Cool.
I will be talking about that on the podcast.
Very
Um,
cool. I'm excited.
yeah, yeah.
I'm
So I
excited.
really wanted to see them because it's very theatrical. Um, and then I think I'm seeing Alex Warren in July with Ellie. So
That'd be
I'll
awesome.
let you know how that goes.
All right, guys, let's go to our next topic. I will do my second one. So this was a recommendation from Josh, and Josh has this thing where if he recommends something, I apparently hate it. And this time, it could not be further from the truth. Nuremberg. This movie is ridiculously good. Like, I genuinely am debating whether I have a new top 10 movie. It's that good. Um, there's nothing I don't like about it, to be completely honest. And Russell Crowe is stupid good in this movie. Like, stupid good. I have to rewatch this. I've just let it simmer a little bit. But I really want to say that this is my favorite Russell Crowe movie, and that includes Gladiator. Like, it's that good. Um, I like the pacing. I read reviews that said there's pacing problems. I didn't have any of those. I was just like, wow, this is amazing. I think the history is fascinating. The courtroom scene is great. The psychology of him digging into the minds of these Nazi leaders is fascinating. I want to read his book so badly. It's amazing. It's an amazing show. And our main character, he's a psychologist, and afterwards he's trying to tell everybody you could have been a Nazi too. And I love that idea of, like, if you grew up in a different situation, you could have been the bad guy. I love that idea. And the fact that he's part of the reason that we have this idea in the normal zeitgeist is awesome. Like, I love this idea. And the fact that he believed it so much that it actually led him to suicide, while heartbreaking, is also fascinating. I I can't go over how much this movie is great. Everything about it is great. There's a courtroom scene, and the psychologist goes up to the guy who's going to interview our second in command, second to Hitler, main bad guy. Russell Crowe, freaking amazing. And he's like, I don't think you can win. Here's some strategies to win, but I don't think you can win. You need these strategies. You need the psychology. Otherwise, he's going to beat you. He's that smart. You have this villain that is playing everybody all the time, and the villain is fantastic. I cannot tell you how good Russell Crowe is in this movie. He is so good. Easily one of my favorite villains ever in anything. I love this movie. I love this movie. Cannot recommend it enough. Absolutely everyone should watch it. I mean that. Everybody should watch this movie. If you don't like history, you might not like it as much as I do. I don't care. Watch this movie. It's stupid good. I'm giving it a 9.6. And I'm just being stubborn, and I'm just giving it that low because I'm like, I should watch it again because maybe it'll be slower the second time. Maybe I won't be as enraptured. I don't know. Stupid good movie. Loved it. Thank you for the suggestion, Josh. You were right on the money. Great. Absolutely freaking great.
Russell Crowe is a villain in this one.
Yeah, he plays Hitler's second right hand. Number 2 in the whole Nazi army.
Number 5, actually, but yeah.
Oh, number 5. Anyway, he is so good. I literally was watching the movie and he gained some weight and I wasn't sure it was Russell Crowe. I was like, I've seen 1,000 movies with you. I'm pretty sure it's you, but I had to look it up. He is so good.
There's a Cabin Pressure where they're trying to come up with names that sound like villains, and they're like, Russell Crowe. That's what it made me think of. But yeah, I think I'm trying to think of another movie that I've seen him as a villain, and he does a good villain. Oh, it was it's the one I hate, The Mummy, with
Is he a villain in The Mummy?
Mm-hmm.
The one with Tom Cruise.
Yeah, there we go. Tom Cruise.
I love that movie.
I don't remember that.
I know you do, and I'm like, oh, it's okay. You can have that.
I think Russell Crowe in a lot of things is actually a little overrated, to be completely honest. But he has a couple movies where he's really, really great. And he's so good in this movie.
He actually scared me in The Mummy. I was like, where'd you pull that one from, Russell?
I might need to rewatch that movie. I just don't remember it very well, to be completely honest.
Yeah. I think yeah. But I'm glad you liked. So, is it Nuremberg? Is that how you say it?
Nuremberg is how I said it. Is that how you say it, Josh?
Nuremberg.
Yeah.
It's just a town just outside of Germany.
Okay. And this is a historical fiction?
It's historical. It is.
It's historical. It's based on the trials that they did to prove that the Nazis were criminals and they needed to be shut down on a world stage. So that the idea, I don't know if this is real, Josh, but the idea was presented that they needed to have an actual trial for the Nazis so that Germany didn't just have another World War I, World War II, World War III kind of a thing, and it actually shut down the process from going forward. And since then, they have had other trials like this where it's genocides and they do it on a world stage to put them before a court. This is the first time it's happened, but it's happened more since then, which I also think is really cool. It's really good. It's really, really, really good.
Good. Yeah, I can speak a little bit more to that. So basically, the world leaders, namely the United States, Great Britain, France, and Russia, or the USSR at the time, were basically discussing what the consequences should be of World War II. And there was basically 2 camps. The first camp is what we got, which is they should have a trial that we should put on television for the world to see. And there was camp 2, which was we should fine them a whole bunch. They should be responsible for rebuilding infrastructure as a country. They should be heavily monitored. We should basically be running their country for them for X amount of time, whatever. And the US and the USSR teamed up to say, if we just fine them like we did in World War One, we are going to cripple them financially again, and they're going to have no other recourse than to be bitter towards the Allies, to rise up again, to feel like they were overly wronged, and have this be continually repeated. So it was put on TV and it was created as a theater piece. It was a there's a few pieces of it. They wanted the world to see the evidence of World War II, to know that the camps that they're talking about in history
And the
are
evidence they
real
show in the
things.
movie is I've watched a lot of World War II things during my life. I've watched things about the camp. The evidence that they show in the movie is heartbreaking and really rough.
Because
It's
it's
rough.
real. It's actual stuff
Yeah.
that is from the actual trial. That is what they actually presented to the trial and to the world at that time. Um, so basically, because this happened, there's two schools of thought. There's I kind of see both sides of it. What they did was wrong, and they should be punished for it. And they should. It's not a fair trial because It's not moral to enforce laws that were created today for what they did yesterday, right? So here in America, we have a law that says if they change the speed limit of the road outside your house from 25 to 35, a police officer can't pull you over, or sorry, from 35 to 25. A police officer can't pull you over and say you were driving the speed limit. You were driving 35 yesterday, which is now against the law. So we can't do that. And that's true. We didn't have any world laws. We didn't have any world government at the time. So is it fair to put somebody on trial and say you broke a world law when there was no world law at the time that they were committing said crime? Um, it's very unfortunate. If you do dig into the more in depth of the true history of what actually happened, Russell Crowe's character, um, he's basically a genius at avoiding responsibility. Um, he was drafted into World War One and volunteered to be a messenger just to get to know the guy who could get him off the front lines, which is what happened. And when he got pulled off the front lines, he got placed in a leadership group with Hitler. And that's how he grew. He became friends with Hitler and got enlisted into Hitler's thing. And so there is actual plausible deniability of, did he know what was going on actually at those camps, or did he actually believe that they were workers' camps? There's legitimate cause for that.
That's really interesting.
There's tons and
That's really
tons.
cool.
The Nuremberg trials, they lasted like 20 years. It was a very, very long process. The criticism I've heard about the movie that I already talked about was it feels like two movies kind of smashed together, not
It does.
correctly. And that's fair because the point of view of the psychiatrist all happened before the Nuremberg trial started. And he had been in the United States for over a year before the trials actually came on TV. So the fact that they're smashing those stories together is why it doesn't quite fit. Still works for me. I gave it a 9.3. I still think it's fantastic. But there are some issues that do come up because they tried to fake history where history wasn't faked. And everything that's true works really well in that movie. So
Really, really well. I loved it. I love this movie. All right, Josh, let's go to your second topic.
okay, so my second topic is 93 minutes and
97.
97 minutes. Sorry, I'm typing at the same time. 97 minutes. And it's on my Plex. So I have had a really crappy week. And I've been scrolling through my Plex and, like, I don't know what to watch. I don't know if I want to continue watching this. I don't know if I should watch this. I just had what I call the can't help it. It's just nothing sounded good. So I decided, how many of these movies that I own have I not actually watched? And it's like 45%. So I was like, I own all of these movies and haven't watched them yet. I bought a pack of all the Fast and Furious movies because I wanted to have a marathon and actually catch up because I've only seen 4 of them. Still haven't done it. I spent real money on this and I still haven't done that thing. So that's what I decided. I decided, hey, if I just don't know what to pick, I'm just going to alphabetically go through, watch movies that I haven't seen before. So I actually watched all of the movies on Plex that start with a number. And I picked to talk about this one because it is the most infuriating one. Most of them kind of sucked, but yeah, it's 93 minutes. It's about a plane heist with terrorists, uh, and it is the worst movie I have ever seen.
Ever.
Ever. Like, just critically, it's the worst movie I've ever seen. I don't know why I finished this movie. So there's like this this plane gets hijacked by this group of terrorists, and this international Interpol agent is pretending to be a terrorist, and there's a scene where he pulls the terrorists take over, they shoot the pilot, and so he goes around and he's sneaking on the plane like he doesn't want to be seen by the other terrorists to find a doctor to save the pilot, because we need to save the pilot, because without him nobody can land the plane. So we've got to save said pilot, right? We understand that makes sense, right? Just a little bit.
Yeah.
Makes a little bit of sense. Okay. And for whatever reason, he rips this doctor away from saving the pilot and shoves her in the bathroom stall and is like, listen here, I'm a spy, but you can't tell anyone. And I'm sitting there like, why are you telling her? What is the purpose of telling her that you are a spy, that you are an Interpol agent? What is the purpose of
Why?
what purpose? Like, I don't comprehend any of this. The start of this movie is actually pretty good, but we do get to that pilot where like we can never let him die. But then the plane starts to lose pressure. Now, we're all educated at the very least at a high school level, right? And I knew fundamentally that if the plane starts to lose pressure, you need to level off and descend to the pressure that would match the outside world that you're pressurized to. And they sit there and go, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. We're all going to die in 8 minutes because we don't know what to do. And I'm sitting there like, what are we talking about? What are we even doing here? And then, so they come to this plan. We have to wake up the pilot who has gone unconscious. And the doctor's like, if we do this, he's going to die. And he's like, do it anyway, because otherwise we're going to die in 8 minutes. And so they wake up the pilot. And he's like, you have to turn it from manual mode to automatic mode, which is the most insane thing. Why would the plane not already be in automatic mode? And how does he do it? By turning if you've seen the like half nozzles on like water pipes, they have like the handle that you turn off. You have to go to row 17, seat D, and pull off a panel from the wall and turn one of those, and that turns it from manual to automatic. What are we talking about? That doesn't make any sense. Why that wouldn't be a button in the pilot seat, or where the flight attendants are even. Like, what are we even talking about? So then we continue on, and he switches it, and the pilot dies, and I'm sitting there like, I thought we needed the pilot. But then I'm like, hold on, I've seen tons of movies and shows and real life news things where a real pilot will get on the intercom and walk somebody through basic ways on how to land a plane in an emergency situations. That's a real thing that happens, right? We agree? Wrong! Because in this movie, if the autopilot doesn't do it, everybody's going to die. And so there's this, like, so he's an Interpol agent. He has an earpiece to speak to his super secret, top secret organization. And they're all like, we have to turn it back on. Otherwise, they're not going to be able to land. And I'm like, what are we talking about? There's like this thing that's like 70% of men believe that they could land a plane in an emergency situation if they had to. And everybody makes fun of men for thinking that. And I'm sitting there like, if I had an actual pilot walk me through what to do, I could 100% do it. I've played flight simulators. It's not that hard.
Like, yeah. I was gonna say, I went up in a small plane with, like, I was in the co-pilot.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, and so, like, he let me take control of the plane for a little bit while we're, like, over the Salt Lake and stuff. It's simple. No, it's simple.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a scene where when they kill the pilots or shoot them for the first time, the pilot leans forward and he leans on the joystick so the plane starts to go down, right? And the guy gets into the pilot seat and he's like, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to do this. And I'm like, what are we doing? Everybody has seen stuff and they know to pull back on it. And even if you didn't know, you would push and pull and be freaking out and you would figure it out relatively quickly. But he said, I don't know what to do. I'm a terrorist who took over a plane, but I don't know how to fly that plane. Oh, so horrible. So we're going through, right? And you know those like mock skits or plays where you get about halfway through and then suddenly this person has this giant black backstory and you're like, where did that come from? So the CIA agent or whatever secret organization agent has a underling and they're fighting back and forth because the underling is like, we should let our agent take back control of the plane. And the main guy is like, no, we should shoot down this plane. We should just kill everyone. And so they get into an argument about this. And the main overlord guy is like, you know why you never got my job? It's because you never had to watch your child get taken. It's because you never had to watch terrorists behead your child live on TV. And you're like, where is this coming from? What are we talking about?
That's how I got my promotion.
There's that scene in Brooklyn Nine-Nine where Captain Holt's like, there's no way you ever told me that story to the girl. It's in that episode. Lauren, you know what I'm talking about? Yeah. I was that way through like all of this movie because our main guy, who's supposed to be this Interpol agent, plot twist, he's not an Interpol agent. He is actually a terrorist who has to get revenge on the main CIA guy because he saw him once driving past just after our main guy's son was killed in a war.
Okay.
What the freak are we talking about? We get through 3/4 of this movie and we get to the point where the main CIA guy gets what he wants. He has raptors in the air. They're firing at the plane. And they miss because the main guy pulls on some cords and it makes the plane turn at just the right moment. And that's not how missiles work or planes work. So how does that work? I don't know, but I'm willing to accept that because it makes the plot go forward, sure. But just as that happens, the President of the United States gets on the phone to tell them that there's a nuke on the commercial plane, so we can't shoot it down. And you're like, there's a nuke on the commercial plane, and that's why we can't shoot it down.
You need this very special compartment.
Why is there a nuke on this commercial flight?
Plane.
It is so insane.
That is
And
so dumb.
we find out that this guy is a fake Interpol agent because the real
That's so
Interpol agent wakes up from being hurt and tells the same doctor that he's actually the Interpol agent. And she's like, "What? No way." And then we turn and we see our main character lock himself in the cockpit. And the Interpol agent has her pull up his sleeve to see in Sharpie the code to get into the cockpit. This top secret agent, this super secret agent, wrote the code on his arm. What are we doing? And then we get this whole backstory about why our main character knew that there was an Interpol agent. And it's because when the flight first got taken over, he got knocked over onto the ground. And he saw an earbud on the ground. And I don't know about you guys, but when I see a random earbud on the ground, I know that that is a top secret organization with global contact capabilities via satellite. This movie is absolutely insane. I don't know why I finished it. There's even a scene where he's in the pilot seat and he's talking to the top secret organization, and they say, "Flip the breakers." That is the instruction he gets. And he starts pressing buttons on in the cockpit. And I'm like, that made sense to you? Flip the breakers and you knew exactly what to do? This is absolutely, it makes no sense. This movie is insane. I don't know why I own this. Like, normally I'm like, oh, somebody recommended it to me, or I bought it, or whatever. I have no idea where this movie came from. I have no idea why it's on my Plex. I watched it just because I've been watching through these movies. And it has an 83% audience score. Did I watch the same movie as these people? There are 0 plot points that make sense. 0. It is absolutely insane. When you get to the point where the good guys take over the plane, there is still 30 minutes of movie, and it's because they have to give all those backstories because they didn't know how to tell it organically through a new normal movie watching experience. So like we get the scene with the guy, the CIA guy driving past the other guy holding his kid in the war. So it's basically this montage of like backstories to make it make sense, but I'm sitting there like, nothing is saving the plot of this movie. This movie makes 0 sense. I don't know how anybody put this as an 83 audience score. This is insane. This movie is terrible. It is the pinnacle of everything that could be bad in a movie is bad. Soundtrack, bad. Writing, bad. Plot, bad. Characters, bad. Acting, bad. All of it is bad. Special effects. It is just the inside of a plane. And even I'm like, that was shot in a studio. I can see the light flashing behind them. Like, this is pretty freaking horrible. How did we get here? Absolutely
This
insane.
review says you only had one job. You just had to make the movie 97 minutes long, and you even failed at that. It was 93 minutes.
It is truly, truly just like horrible. Nobody watched this movie unless you just want to like a critical example of what not to do in a movie. Like if you're studying film and you're like, what's a movie we could watch where everything doesn't work? this would be the one to watch. But nobody else should watch this movie. I should have turned it off. I was literally texting Kylie, like, can I turn off this movie? And she's like, no, the second half is going to be so much better. And I'm like, I promise it's not. And yet I was just still watching. And I was like, why am I still watching this movie? It's not getting any better. Don't watch this movie. It's awful. Like, I hate The Last Jedi more because it like ruins characters I know and love. But I think in a vacuum, on its own, if it's not connected to the Star Wars of universe, it is still 1,000 times critically better than this
This movie.
horrible thing. And this one has a 83, and The Last Jedi has like what, a 60?
I don't know.
Yeah, 68. It has a 91 on Rotten Tomatoes. That is insane. Get taste, people. Wild. Don't watch this movie, people. Don't watch this movie, Colin. Don't watch this movie, Lauren, unless you're just so curious as to if this really is as bad as I say it is. But man, it is. It is
atrocious.
I don't know how this movie got made. I don't know who greenlit this movie. It has some pretty big actors in it. So Alec Baldwin is the main CIA guy. Jonathan Rhys Myers, I know him from August Rush. He plays the dad. He's our main guy.
Yeah, the actors on it are they're pretty solid actors.
Yeah, like not top tier, but you've at least heard of two of them, or at least I had.
Yeah. Alec Baldwin is great. I feel like I recognize Michael Sorrow too, but I don't know from what.
Yeah, I was that way with a couple of them where I'm like, maybe I recognize you, but I don't really know. Anyway, so yeah, this was all of the other movies I watched this week or because of this, also not great. This one was the worst.
Curious, this kind of goes against our whole time frame, but what did you think about 28 weeks later and Days? I'm genuinely curious. Okay, both of them?
I didn't watch the second one because I watched the first one, and I decided that if the first one is so bad, I don't have to watch the second one.
Okay.
So sequels and movies that I hate, I'm not actually going to watch. But yeah, I made notes on everything I watched, and on 28 Days Later, I wrote, and I quote, the cinematography is awful. It makes Darkman look good. And Darkman came out 12 years earlier.
Yeah, it was a small indie budget movie, and I don't think it looks very good now. I think it looks like really bad. I like the second one better, personally. I like 28 Weeks Later. I don't really like 28 Days Later. I think it's overrated.
Well, we can talk more about that personally, or I have all my notes, so I can use any of these as topics, but
cool.
It's
cool. Good. Well, dude, I'm sorry you didn't like the movie. At least you got a rant about it. Let's go to our shared topic. I think we're going to go in the opposite order like we did last time, because I think I might be the most positive on this movie, and I'm still not super positive on this movie. Josh, let's go. Let's continue with your hate. Go ahead.
I don't have a lot to say about this movie.
Okay.
Like I said, I had a really rough week. I watched a ton of stuff. So that includes, I'll just read off a list really quick. I watched 6 Underground with Ryan Reynolds, 12 Strong with Chris Hemsworth, 27 Dresses, 28 Days Later, 97 Minutes, 1776, all of season 1 and 2 of Shrinking, and like some one-offs. I watched some Sword Art Online. I watched some Psych. I watched a ton of stuff. I watched Lost City, and Lauren, you're right, that movie's fantastic. It totally holds up. I had a great time. So, but I watched Big Fish like right after we recorded last week. So like on
Yeah.
Thursday or Wednesday night, I don't really remember. So last night I was like, oh yeah, I watched that. I have to write notes on it. Um, I had to watch a summary or read a summary because I was like, what was this movie about? Oh yeah, I remember this. It's a wild and weird movie. I think its pacing is atrocious. I think it's like if Secondhand Lions has a similar structure where it's a instead of uncles, it's a dad telling stories to their kid about who they used to be. Except if Secondhand Lions lying was okay and the movie sucked, then you get Big Fish. Those are my thoughts on it.
What's your rating?
I gave it a 2 out of 10.
Okay.
Which,
that's fine.
for uh, reference, I gave 97 minutes, also a 2 out of 10.
Wow. Okay. How did you give it a 2 out of 10? It's the worst movie you've ever seen. How was that not a 1?
How's that not a 0?
That was not a 0. Yes. Like, how?
I got to rant about it. I got personal experience out of 97 minutes. The beginning of 7 minutes is actually pretty solid. Like the first 30 minutes of this hour and a half movie was actually had some good stuff in it. The setup was good.
Okay.
It's just as soon as the terrorists take over the plane, stop watching it. It's garbage.
All right, Lauren. What did you think about this movie?
I prefer the play. I remember watching the play at Snow College, and I remember it hitting a lot more with the play, especially because there's like the daffodils. Um, they had so many daffodils that were just like strung up on the ceiling that they like let fall down on the
That's
play, and
cool.
it was insane. And they had to go to because that's right before. Uh, all I can think of is calling it halftime intermission. There we go. And like they needed that intermission to just clean up all of the daffodils that just fell down. Um, I do like the like legacy of like telling stories to like your family and things like that, and like how like when you catch a fish this big, all of a sudden it's a fish this big, all of a sudden the fish was this big, and like how things get warped. Of course, this is an extreme case where his stories come, but there's like little things of truth of his stories. But like it reminds me of my great grandma. We had an assignment in school where we had to ask her about like World War II and what life was like during World War II. I have like I have 4 other siblings that interviewed her, and we have like recordings of those things and like the difference but similarities of all of those recordings of what she said happened in World War II. Like my brother's got the unfiltered version of what happened and like what my great grandpa went through in World War II. And then we come to like my recording and everything is like fluffed up. Everything was like, oh yeah, no, your grandpa didn't kill anybody in the war. And I was like, no, I know he did. Like, I've heard the stories and the recording. I know this story. But it was like, anyway, I do like stories where the person's like whimsical ish. Um, so I do understand like the dad like emphasizing things, and he seems more of like trying to make things more fun type thing. I'm trying to think of other movies that do that. Um but yeah, this is a Tim Burton movie. There are some like of course weirdness stuff that Tim Burton has to sprinkle in there. Um I don't mind this movie. I really like the play a lot better. I feel like the play's pacing is better and better understood, and like when the father dies at the end, it hits it's way more impactful. Um I feel. But yeah. So I
Okay.
give this movie actually like a 5 out of 5. 5 out of 5. 5 out of 10. This is so
5 out
good.
of 5. It's a perfect movie. It's crazy. We give 10s. No, this one gets a 5 out of
five
5.
5 star. No, it's a 5 out of 10.
Cool, cool. I didn't know this was a Tim Burton movie, and if I would have known it was a Tim Burton movie, I wouldn't have watched this movie because I don't usually like Tim Burton. The only exceptions are Beetlejuice and now this movie. I think the play would have been. Go ahead, Josh.
Corpse Bride.
Oh, is Corpse Bride Tim Burton?
Yeah.
Oh, Corpse Bride the best. Corpse Bride is the best.
Yep.
I'm lying. Corpse Bride's the best one. It's actually really good.
Thank you.
This one is mixed for me. Go ahead, Josh.
Frankenweenie, Charlie and the Chocolate
No.
Factory.
No, his version of Charlie and Chocolate Factory sucks. No,
I like it. Batman Returns is definitely better than this garbage. Attack
No.
from Mars from 1996.
I've never seen that one.
I've never seen it either, but it is a big
It's
movie.
so weird. I don't like it. I have nightmares.
Fair. Wednesday, the TV show he's part of. That's big.
I didn't get into it.
The movie 9, I think, is awesome.
Ooh, that one is good.
I didn't know he did that. That one's also very good. That one is very good.
That's all I got. I think The Nightmare Before Christmas is better, but not by much.
I thought Nightmare Before Christmas was like he produced it, but it's actually not really him, even though everyone thinks it's him. That's what I've heard from stuff online.
Iconic.
It's on his IMDb page. I'm literally looking at it right now.
That one is also good then too. I'm wrong. There's a couple things that I like from him. I don't like Edward Scissorhands. I don't like some of his other bigger stuff. But I did enjoy this movie. Overall, I enjoyed it. I think I can see Lauren's point. I think the play would be better. And part of my problem is the Tim Burton-iness of this movie. Because there's times where I'm okay with it. Like it goes in the lines. And there are times like the baby scene where it is just way the hell out of the lines. You're like, why did you do that, Tim Burton? You're ruining your movie. And there's enough of these little things where it's like you just went to Tim Burton that it pulls me out of the film. But I really do like the concept of what we are watching. I like the idea of an old man that's telling his stories, and the stories get bigger than life, and he wants to be remembered. And there's this line that says, or the son is questioning, I don't know who you are. And he says, I've never been anybody but me from the day I was born. If you don't know who I am, that's your failing, not mine. It's like, I've told you who I am. I've told you these stories. Yeah, they're exaggerated. Yeah, they're bigger than life. Yeah, you as the audience member don't even know exactly what's true, but you know because of the funeral that something is true, that there is truth to these stories. These people are real. There's real aspects to this. So know me. Yeah, I'm being exaggerated, but that doesn't mean that you don't know who I am. And I love that at the very end, the son kind of drops the ego and is like, you know what? This is just part of my dad. And I love my dad. And if he needs a story before he passes away, I'm going to tell him one hell of a story. And the dad goes, and that's the story of my life. Because everybody just wants to be remembered. Even if it's a little bit exaggerated, even if it's a little bit wacky, you want to be remembered. You want to be impactful. You want to know that you were somebody to your kids. And I love that everybody showing up. I love the giant getting out of the car. And you're like, how much of this was true? I think it's a cool little concept. I think there's a lot of good to be had. It's kind of, I'm very similar with both of our shared topics. One shared topic, there's some good highs, but there wasn't quite enough good highs for me to overall enjoy the show, even though I can see the benefit. This one has a lot of lows, and there was enough highs to make me kind of enjoy the show. Will I ever watch this again? Honestly, no. I'm never going to watch this movie again. But there were enough high points, the daffodils, the romance that goes on there, the guy going through a circus and like digging up crap, but he just really wants to meet his love. Very folksy, folktale aspects to it. There was enough for me to be like, I enjoy this. I get what you're going for. There's a lot of good here. I think everyone does a pretty good job with the acting. Like, there's nothing that's like, I despise this other than the baby scene. The baby scene is awful. But there's nothing that's like, I hate this show. It just could have been better because what they were going for is very sweet. I was touched by the father's death. I was touched by these stories. My parents don't share stories. I just found out that the job where my mom met my dad, she had been working since she was like 15, and apparently my grandma worked there too. I had no idea. I have not known that for 20 something years of my life. Didn't know. I think sharing stories is really important. And at the very end of the movie, you have the son, and he's telling the story about his grandpa, who met the 15-foot giant. And the stories live on, and the grandpa is remembered. And I think that is very cool. It was worth watching once. It is not worth watching twice. I think the play would be a lot better because you would get rid of a lot of the Tim Burton stuff that is just too Tim Burton. I'm giving this a 6.8. I debated giving like a 6.5. I understand why people love this movie. I get why it's a 7.9. I just wasn't quite there, unfortunately.
So I have a question.
Yeah, totally.
We have talked before about Santa as a theory.
Yeah.
Should you tell your kids? Should you embellish the Santa lying thing? Is it a thing?
Yeah.
Generally, you fell on the side of like, no, not really. Not really sure where you land on it right here at this moment. But this whole movie, the thing that I hated so much about it is it justifies lying. It says lying's an okay thing to do. Whatever, right? Everybody wants to be remembered. I don't think that that's true. Lying is okay in your stories to your kids. That's not a good thing. It's not true. Like, the lying part of it really bothered me in this movie. I get that a lot of people do embellish their stories, but I think there's a big difference between I caught a fish this big, but it was, this big, but it was actually this big, is very different than what we actually get. And there's an entire scene where Ewan McGregor's like, I don't even know who you really are. And he's like, I'm my stories. And I'm like, that's not true. You're not your stories. You're who you are because of what you've done and what you did, but we don't know the truth.
We as the audience don't know, but there is
the son
scene
also
where
doesn't know.
Yeah, there's the scene where he sees the witch's eye and sees how he's going to die. And I really like the callback to that when the guy who he's kind of beat and everything and he steals the girl from, he dies in the way that he sees in the eye at the very beginning of the show. And that to me says there's some kind of truth there. Something magical, something folksy, something that's very movie-ish. So I'm not taking this as a completely grounded story or completely grounded from his point of view. I think there is some folksiness to it. So there is some of this wackiness that is beyond a normal Pell drama, some of this magical aspect to it that I think is true, and it kind of brings me more into the story. It's like if Santa was actually real, but we changed a little bit about him.
Right.
But he's actually real. Does that make sense? A little bit?
Kind of. So there's two parts to my question. The Santa one is, why is the Santa lie okay? Or not okay, but completely falsifying your entire life to your child is. I know that there are some elements to truth when he's telling his stories, but we as an audience don't get to know what the truth is, and the son doesn't get to know what the truth is, and the only person who knows the truth is the old man, who might be a little bit crazy.
Two different answers to that. One, it would be like if the Silent Night story was some dude who did see Santa, and he's like, hey, I want to embellish this a little bit and make it all fancy. And then he wrote that story. But some dude didn't see Santa because Santa's fake as crap. Sorry, kids. Spoiler alert. It would be like
There was a real
if
Saint Nicholas. There was a real origin to the story.
I guess that's true. That's an interesting point. Saint Nicholas didn't climb on no roofs, but he did. I don't know. I guess if Saint Nicholas was a little bit more magical, like if there was some grounding aspect to that, but there's not. In this story, I think that there is some grounding aspect to the magical nature because of the witch's eye, which makes me not as judgmental towards the entire story because, yes, I don't know how much of it is embellished. I don't know how embellished it is, but I believe that there is some magical nature and some of each part of the story could be magically influenced, if that makes sense. It makes me a little bit less harsh on the whole situation. Is that fair?
Yes, it does. It makes total sense what you're saying. I'm not arguing, though, that he's completely lying. Right? To
Mhm.
me, it doesn't make sense if it's a 2% lie or a 95% lie because nobody can know the truth. We don't actually get the whole point is getting to know your dad, and we don't actually get to know your dad whether it's a 2% lie or a 95% lie. It's still lying. That's my big brick on it.
If you there's a whole psychology of if you decide to be somebody, then you can act like that person, even if you aren't really that person. So if the father believes it enough, is he that person? And I think that's kind of part of the idea of the movie is he does believe these stories. Like 100% hook, line, and sinker. Is he a little bit crazy? Yeah. Being crazy is a little bit a part of him.
No, he
Okay.
doesn't believe the stories.
You
He
don't think
admits
so?
that they're a lie. They're just part of
He
the big confrontation of dad, you lied to me. I don't know how much is true. And he just says, I'm in the stories. I'm me. Like, to me, that's just an
yeah.
evasive answer. That's not actually answering or dealing with any kind of trauma of having lied to your kid his entire life.
I think that's him saying I do believe these stories. Like I've gone down that road. These are my stories. These are me. And yes, I think that there's also a human factor to people making I did this growing up and I had to grow out of it, but I made everything bigger than it was. Like majorly. It was actually a problem how much I did it. But I think it's a very human thing to do of turning some little story like I was just playing baseball or whatever it is to I hit the grandest slam that has ever grand slam of all grand slams. And I think it's human. And is it perfect? No, it's not. Is it better to be honest? I think so, yes. But I don't hate the story and I don't discount it because I do think there's enough positive factors to go along with it. Maybe that makes me hypocritical. I don't know.
It's interesting because I took this whole thing not as him being like, I'm telling um, these stories and I know I'm embellishing and all of these things. Like when I first watched it as a play, I took it as nobody believed his stories and everybody just thought that they're all whimsical and tall tales. But like he truly believes that these things happened and he doesn't care if people believes them because he's like that's me, take it or leave it. And I don't care if I have to like I don't care to prove it to you because this is who I am unapologetically. And then his son being like so angry about being like, no, I need proof of who you are. And then finally him accepting like, oh, this is who you are. Um, like that's how I kind of took it versus
That's an
like,
interesting point of view.
yeah. So it's now that like I've heard your guys' thoughts on that, I was like, oh, I never thought that the dad was ever lying.
Okay?
Yeah, to me, it was him saying, I am a liar, accept me for being a liar. That's what I thought he said.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's like so interesting when I was reading your notes. I was like, I never actually saw that point of view. but I understand why you did.
Yeah, I do too. I don't think this is a perfect movie. I don't, but it was an enjoyable movie, and I would watch the play. Like legitimately, I would watch the play.
I think the play's way better.
My wife read the book, and she liked the book better. She didn't really like this movie very much. I think there's enough good concepts here. There's good here, but there's roughness, and I get where Josh is coming from. Makes sense. Mm-hmm. For me, I think I said I'm putting it at 6.8. Next week, guys, we are going to be watching Pied Piper. It's a show that Josh found. It looks really, really interesting. I'm super pumped to talk about it. We appreciate you guys watching. Like, subscribe, all the good stuff. Make this week fantastic. You deserve it. See you guys.